Deep breath. You will never ever fail. All right, what up, y'all? What's popping? So happy Saturday. We here, we live. Another one. I'm excited, y'all. As I was reading these two chapters, I was like, ooh, I've been practicing these this week. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. What are some moments? I'm excited. But with that being said, we're gonna actually kick this thing off. Y'all know today I love it, man. My man got Leo on the book club call. Quit playing with him. Dadding right there. He chilling. What up, Leo? What's popping? Foot. I see you, big dog. He like, hey. But that's a great question. Did anybody take the assessment? We are discussing emotional intelligence 2.0. If you have the book, it talked about the assessment in the very beginning. If you have the ebook, we are still working that out. I have not received an answer from them yet. I shot them an email last week to see, like, hey, is this okay? I've heard nothing. So, in that, when we hear something, we'll know about those of us that have the ebook. If you have the physical copy, you actually got a code to take the assessment. We would absolutely love to hear the assessment. If you haven't taken it yet, you know what would be really lit is if you just screenshotted the assessment and then sent it into the book club group, and then we could all take the assessment. That would be fire if somebody could do that. I don't have the physical book. I'll go order that thing if I need to do it. Ain't no thing. My man Sam said I can do that. Fire. Let's go. So, yes, sir. Let's get it. So, in that, we're going to have the assessment for everybody, I'm thinking, within the week. So, stay in tune with the book club group in the app or on the website. But today, we're going to chop it up about chapters 3 and 4. Marcus is actually on his way to work. So, we're going to let that man really kick us off because I know he got like 10 minutes. So, go ahead, bro. I'm going to kick it to you. Good morning. Happy Saturday. You look good, boy.
Good morning. What's up, y'all? Happy Saturday. Appreciate the introduction, bro. And appreciate everybody showing up for themselves. Y'all do me a solid real quick. Y'all throw some clapping hands emojis in the chat because one, you could be doing anything on a Saturday morning. Two, you could be extremely busy on a Saturday and make excuses as to why you won't show up. Knew you weren't. I knew you weren't. What's the ETA? Okay, boom. Sorry, y'all. Anyways, anyway, it's all good, sis. It's all good. It's all good. I got scared there for a second, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. My life flashed before my eyes. But anyways, what I was saying is you can make excuses, you can do anything that you'd want, but you're here showing up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to show up for yourself is 80% of the battle. And if you can show up continuously, consistently, long enough, with a much enthusiasm, you will literally last longer than most people because they quit. And any lane, all you got to do is be there long enough and do things long enough with as much passion, as much consistency, and you'll get some results. All of it boils down to emotion. So here's what I want to talk about because obviously, as you guys know, chapter 4 is not very long. I hope you guys spend some time reading chapter 3 and getting things in tune because, as Mikhail said, the way he structured this book is bird eye perspective, zoom in. He needs you to understand how things correlate together so that you can actually apply these strategies with intention. Intention, doing things on purpose, for a purpose, with a purpose, period. So, in terms of emotions, right? I say this all the time. Your thoughts dictate how you feel, aka what emotions you feel. And then your feelings and emotions dictate what actions you take. Those actions develop habits, and those habits make up your entire reality. So, if you want a different reality, you literally got to get in tune with your thoughts first and foremost and be able to process what those thoughts are, whether or not it is uncomfortable. And that's the difficult part. And he brings that up. So, one, I love this book. For those who are tuning in for the first time, have never really read about emotional intelligence before. He talks about in the first couple of chapters how extremely imperative and vital it is for the most successful people to go and actually reach their levels. It is a prerequisite, like it's required. You must have emotional intelligence. If you don't, you probably don't go too far because you cannot manage thyself. All right. So he talked about in chapter 3 the 4 different types of components that deal with emotional intelligence. You've got self-management, or excuse me, you've got self-awareness, then you have self-management, and that all deals with personal competence. Does anybody know the definition of competence? Unmute yourself, or somebody real quick, pull out Google, type that thing up, read it out loud for me. Personal competence. Yeah, I would, and then be aggressive.
The ability to do something effectively and efficiently.
Okay, bad. So personally being effective and doing things efficiently. All right. And then social competence. The same thing, but instead of just within yourself, around others, around societal perspectives or environments, right? He said that self-awareness is your ability to accurately perceive your own emotions in the moment and understand your tendencies across situations. The willingness to tolerate the discomfort of focusing on feelings that may be negative. Sometimes we avoid the acknowledgement of what we're feeling to be truth because we don't want to face the negative emotion that it comes with. But in order to face what it is that you struggle with, you literally got to look at it. And then you've got to deal with it so that you can identify tendencies. He said, figure out where they come from and why they are there. Emotions always serve a purpose. So everything you feel is valid. I tell people all this time, being emotionally intelligent does not mean ignore your emotions. Your emotions are valid. But in being in tune to regulate your emotions, you first got to be self-aware. It's not about discovering deep dark secrets or unconscious motivations, but rather it comes from developing a straightforward and honest understanding of what makes you tick. If you recognize some things that make you tick, that annoy you, things that frustrate you, that excite you, things that surprise you or make you upset or make you extremely content, then you can identify what triggers in your body allow you to know that you are feeling that type of way. The quicker you can identify, the better you'll be, because that leads towards self-management. Self-management, he defines, as what happens when you act or do not act. It is dependent on your self-awareness and is the second major part of personal competence. Is what happens when you act or do not act. It's crazy. Y'all had an amazing conversation with my sister about fruit, aka the fruit you produce in your life is the actions you take or do not take. And that also includes your own self-competence. It's your ability to use your awareness of your emotions to stay flexible and direct your behavior positively. I'm going to leave the other two to you guys to discuss about. I have them highlighted, but literally chapter 4 is not that long, and I want to be able to share the discussion in the floor with everybody. But here's something that I caught that I did not catch previously when I first read it for the first time. This is my second time reading the book, but I did learn while I was applying. At the beginning of chapter 4, he literally explains how, like, hey, I want you to use these strategies so you can implement this type of lifestyle, period. You apply, then you're able to change your thought processes and focus on the right things. He said, in order to have the societal management, you need to be able to effectively have awareness of yourself, manage yourself, and have awareness of your environment while you're socially around others. A lot of people try to manage a social environment or try to be in tune with the environment around them when they are not in tune with yourself. I promise you guys, you will not go far or anywhere unless you understand who you really are, what you really want, and why you're doing what you're doing. If those are concrete, you can set standards rather than expectations for your life. My sister asked me yesterday, she was like, what's the difference between expectations and standards? I was like, that's a great question. The way that I defined it is that expectations are based upon circumstance to circumstance. Standards do not change. They are non-negotiable despite what circumstances or situations you find yourself in. So just because she's an 18-year-old young lady, we were talking about in the scenario of a boy, go on a date and you lead with expectations, you already set yourself for failure. You're trying to manage a social environment without even managing yourself. Here's what I want y'all to grasp. But if you set standards for yourself, then you can identify if people meet you at the standard, and you will naturally attract those of who you are, not what you want, and you repel those who are not on the same type of time. And that's how you're able to operate on a frequency, y'all. Your emotions are actual frequencies. Every time you speak, you have sound waves that come out of your mouth and hit someone else in the eardrum. If you speak with a tone of excitement, of positivity, of gratitude, of joy, of love, you are going to repel those who hear those waves on their eardrum who are not on that type of time. But you're also going to attract those who are. And it really comes down to, what are your standards? Who are you, and what do you want? So that you can manage yourself first and foremost. You can be aware of yourself. And then you can go and interact in relationships and build genuine connections versus surface level, as he talked about in the first couple of chapters. So I just wanted to touch on that. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all letting me share. And I'll be tuned in up until I can't, and I'll catch the recording. But God bless y'all. Happy Saturday. I'm going to pass this thing over to Boom. Let me see. I'm going to pass it to the woman who gave me life. All right, Mother, you got it.
Do I have to go after you, son? The heck?
Mom.
What the heck?
Mom, where do you think I learned a lot from? Quit playing.
I'm just kidding, son. No, you definitely hit. I love these talks that you have with Anna, because I'm more of a, like, just give it to her bluntly, and you kind of give it to her the educational style. But that's just like in general for all of us. Like, I too, who are in my mid 40s, am learning all this stuff. It's crazy to me that some of this vocab wasn't even, I mean, some of these words weren't even in my vocab in my 20s and 30s, because I wasn't in the right space. I wasn't in the right space. And I feel like I've lost a lot of time. But I'm making up for that now, diving in and learning into these books. This is my first time reading this book. Marcus touched up on the first two. The other one, the third one, is social awareness. I've learned this since I started with TGF. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. I cannot even talk. I'm so sorry. Anyhow, the social awareness, I used to tell my kids every time that they would go out, make sure you're aware of your surroundings. Make sure you know who you're going to be with. Make sure this person is not steering you in the wrong direction, and make sure, don't be a follower, you be the leader. We ain't got time for followers here. So just that implement right there. Yes, read the room. You're right. Social awareness is really big for me, only because not everybody has your best interest at heart. Some people can portray, this world's tainted. It's very tainted. And the most important thing to do is you have to listen and observe what surroundings that you're in. It says here, social awareness is your ability to accurately pick up on emotions in other people and understand what is really going on with them. That means perceiving what other people are thinking and feeling, even if you do not feel the same way. Just like I said, we have to listen and observe. Marcus says to me a lot of the times, to communicate doesn't necessarily mean you have to talk. Communicating is also a thing of listening. So we have to stop talking, like listen to what somebody has to say, so that way you can pick up on what their feelings are. So that way, hey, is this the right position that I need to be in? Or do I need to pull myself out of this scenario? And then on to the fourth one, which is relationship management. Relationship management is your ability to use your awareness of your own emotions and those of others to manage interactions successfully. Us, we are pretty open, we're hot, honest, open, and transparent. And with that being said, I have allowed a lot of people to dictate how I would process my emotions to figure out, okay, what's triggering me, um, or not to be able to handle it in the manner that I want to. So I have to analyze where I'm at and see what's going on. I may have to remove myself for the time being, but I will never let a conversation be swept under the rug. I'm going to discuss it. And not a lot of people do that. Not a lot of people know how to communicate that. They would much rather, oh, let's just not bring it up and pretend that everything's okay. I'm sorry, but our household does not do that, even with each other. Even if we get under our skins, we're going to communicate. We're not going to scream. We're not going to yell. That's just something that we have to be aware of our own relationship management, is what it says, you know. Um, it states here that the relationship management poses the greatest challenge for most people during times of stress. And I can definitely, to me, this when the stress comes about, me being a woman of faith, I always lean back to God. I always lean back to my faith and everything. And I don't know how. I mean, all's to their own. Whoever. I don't want to press any any religion or anything, or God on anybody. But you just can't do it without Him. There's no way. There's no way we can do it without Him. And that's what helps me with my stress. When I'm around somebody, even my girls they know how to push my buttons. You know what I mean? They definitely know how to do that. Sometimes my grown men know how to push my buttons too. So anyhow, on to chapter 4. It's crazy because I'm surprised Marcus really didn't dive in, because it has to do with a lot of science, and he's all about the science stuff. But it talks about digging into the emotional intelligence action plan. And it starts off, honestly, talking about how the information that we get travels beyond the rational and the emotional centers of your brain. And it stays there because it's protected by your skull. So it can't grow. You know what I mean? All it can do is gather information. And it's called plasticity, is the term that neurologists use to describe the brain's ability to change. And this is where you start to learn how to put your action in plan. The more you think about what you're feeling and do something productive with that feeling, the more developed this pathway becomes. So your brain grows new connections, not actual like growth like your muscles, like your biceps, only because, like I said, it is covered it's covered by the skull. So instead, the brain cells develop new connections to speed the efficiencies of thoughts without increasing its size, which is really cool. I think that's it's pretty. I'm not into science, don't get me wrong, Marcus, that's why he did what he did and went to school for all that, but I'm not about all that science. I just think it's pretty cool how the brain works. Everything starts with the brain. So I'm going to go ahead and let somebody else just kind of tackle the 4 the action plans that they have listed here, if y'all want to touch up on it. But I will go ahead, and I'm going to go with Imani because I love her energy.
What's up, y'all? Happy Saturday. I have a very chill vibe today, so if I'm not talking loud, it's because I don't feel like it. But thanks. Y'all takes have been really good so far, even with like just connecting those dots for chapter 4, especially. Like our brains don't have like room to grow, but they are able to get stronger. So every book club, every call, every powerful creator call, it just continuously allows our muscles to grow. And this book repeatedly says that, like, it's not about your emotions and like you feeling them, like it's okay to feel them. It's more so about just having the regulation. It's not, it's a muscle. You build it just like any other part of your body. And it takes time to build on top of, on stack on top of each other. So in chapter 4, that was real cool. For me, the one I'm working on is self-management. Self-management. That one is real interesting. So that's the one I'm going to choose and work on. I'm still like figuring out the details, but in chapter 3, when it talks about, let me pull up my notes. So chapter 3, what is self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. I really personally have a hard time with my own self-management. I think I'm a very passionate person, if you haven't already noticed. And that passion comes from a lot of different energy. So I definitely sometimes get a little unhinged. not, not on purpose, man. It just happens. And it's like, I just haven't built that muscle. So it's okay. I can work on it in time and be able to make sound decisions, especially in social settings, even with myself as well. So I can like keep myself going in this life and be able to manage the day-to-day tasks that we all have to deal with, even when it comes down to cleaning, washing dishes. Just like knowing that it's something that you have to do. You don't necessarily want to, but it's just all tied together to me. So, okay, note though, in chapter 3, it says a high degree of self-awareness requires a willingness to tolerate the discomfort of focusing on feelings that may be negative. Um, it's very easy to focus on the negative, and that is something even myself I have to get used to. And when I feel those feelings and I need something to do with it, I can learn the different tactics and the different strategies to basically navigate these emotions and feelings and put them to good use. Because it's not like they're not for nothing. At the end of the day, we need these things. It's a part of life. This is what we get to feel. And it's a balance. You get to feel the good, you get to feel the bad. It's all good. It's not really either or, it's all one. And just like we have to have them, we have to understand how to control them. Um, some emotions create a paralyzing fear that makes your thinking so cloudy that the best course. Oh, I'm sorry. When I read this, I was like, oh dear God. Oh my God. Because y'all can't even imagine, like, I'm passionate. I'm telling you, I've put myself in some crazy situations that I just be like, what? Why would I do that? Why? Why would I do that? Some emotions create a paralyzing fear that makes your thinking so cloudy that the best course of action is nowhere to be found. Assuming that there is something you should be doing, in this case, self management. Okay, so the best course of action, not coming from a place where you are skilled. I'll just say skilled. You don't necessarily have to be a experience. It just, grows in time. But having the skill to be in a high emotional situation and choose the best course of action, I'll tell you, it could have saved me so many times. It's So many. So that's something, like I said, for me, self-management is very important. I am going to go ahead and pass it to Marcella. I'm like loving the smile. I'm like, yes.
All right, can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me? All right, cool. All right. I wasn't here the last Saturday, but I just wanted to touch on it because I thought it was kind of funny. Um, Talking about the situation where he was in the water with the shark and all that. First of all, I can't swim, so I wouldn't have put myself in the water. And if I did, I would have just died. That's what I would have done in that situation. I would have just left it to God. Like, take me now if it's my time. All right, but this week, um, something that Imani said that stood out to me too was the where he said high degree of self-willingness to tolerate the discomfort of focusing on feelings that may be negative. I'm a very like optimistic, positive, good vibes type of person. So I'm I'm a really calm person, right? But I'm just like everybody else. I get angry, I get mad, and I still kind of do it. I'm like, all right, I don't want to be angry. That already happened. Let's get over it, move on, right? But it talks about being in that discomfort and feeling those feelings. Like afterwards, I have to be like, okay, why was I angry? What triggered me? So I'm doing better about that part. Um, Thinking through those feelings and not just like pushing them aside when they're negative. Let's see what else. Another thing that stood out was he said emotions always come from somewhere. Everybody experiences different things. And I can relate to that on the sense of I used to be a teacher. And sometimes some of my students would act out, behavior would be crazy. And I've learned to have grace for people through it because sometimes they're just hungry. Sometimes they didn't sleep last night or they got stuff going on at home, whatever the case. So I think teaching has taught me self-management and to have grace for people. Sometimes a little harder to have grace for adults because you feel like they should know better. But I mean, some of us don't learn these skills when we're younger, you know? So we're learning as adults. Um, what else? In that fourth chapter, it starts going into like the strategies a little bit. One thing that I struggle with is patience. I have ADHD. So like I'm always on the go, 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 go. Like I want it now. I want results now. And through TGF and this book, I'm learning you gotta wait. It's in God's time and not yours, right? Um, you gotta be like you gotta perfect the skill or perfect your craft before it comes, right? So that's one thing that I need to work on. So I'm excited to see what strategies they give us so I can work on them one at a time, focus on one thing one at a time. Another thing that stood out was when they say perfection means you're not pushing yourself hard enough. And I was like, because we always have room to grow, we always have room to get better, whatever the case. And go back to teaching, like I'll teach the same lesson 4 times a day, and there's always something I could fix to make it better, to make it more engaging, more effective. Um, yeah, I think that was all I had for that. Let's see. I'm gonna pass it on to Cam.
What's good, y'all? I got like a house full of a whole bunch of everything going on, but these this book is fun. First off, I've really like what I really like about this book is honestly the examples that they give and how he like I'm not gonna lie, I see myself in a lot of these examples, man. That's what really is killing me on the inside because it's like I see the I see the benefits of the some of the positive aspects of what the social interactions, because this is all in chapter 3. So like the lack of social awareness and like what it looks like for people that actually have social awareness and stuff like that. Yeah. I see a lot of different ways that people could be in multiple of the like multiple of the spots. So that was something that's really cool for me. I'm still combing through the rest of this because, like I said, it's been a crazy couple weeks, but so far this has been amazing, guys. I really appreciate it. I am going to popcorn Sam if you're smooth.
Yo, what's up, family? Happy Saturday, happy book club. Man, yeah, I just want to touch on before I get into it, Amani. I don't want it to go unsaid. The capability, the empowerment to sit here and say, like, this is what I need help with, this is what I struggle with, this is what I'm gonna focus on. Like that's powerful. Because I mean, to be 100% transparent, guys, I've had this book. I've had this book for a while, and if it wasn't on book club, I probably still wouldn't be reading this book, man. Like because man, to be completely transparent, man, like I have this stupid thing called pride, stupid thing called ego, stupid thing called fear. Um, I know things like how to get better. I've been having intentional conversations with Mikhail and of course Marcus too, but like of the vision of who we need to be to get what we need to get. And today, like to know that I'm not the person that I need to be able to get what it is that we want as a collective, as an individual. Um, I mean, it's I think that's strength, man. And how it was easier for like Amani to just lower that wall and just be transparent with us. For me, it's uncomfortable, because I struggle with that. Because so I think this book really is one of the ones, guys. And I'm you just got to go through it. You don't be scared, like because I just me personally, the fear of not being right is really what it is. Like, oh, I was not who I needed to be this whole time. You're telling me I was wrong? Like, no, I don't believe that. Like, that's insanity, guys. That's the pride and ego keeping me from where I need to be. So, definitely need to take the test. And exactly, it'd be like the test too. Like in fear of like just accepting how emotionally unintelligent I am. Like to be completely frank, um, because it's crazy to think how important that is. And before TGF, guys, like like Mary said, I wasn't. This was not in my vocabulary. Of course, everybody knew, you know, your IQ, and everybody wanted to be smart, but nobody around me at least ever talked about emotional intelligence, ever talked. Marcus said conflicts are usually just inefficiency or lack thereof of emotional intelligence from two parties. So if and it just hit me so well because I'm fighting with my friend right now because we're just like brothers. We just bicker and it's like, oh, we're just emotionally weak. Like, or, we have too much pride and ego. And so the self awareness, I mean, how to it shows you how to reflect your emotions in real time. This book gives practical advice of how to stay in control when emotions run high. Well, of course that applies to everything in our lives. Relationships, our work, friends, coworkers, life, even with our bosses and managers. And it's able to allow us to be more aware of like the social situations. We could have bosses and we could have managers, but being able to be aware of, emotional intelligence, we know that they're just managers to push us. They're not leaders to pull us. And so once you get around people like that, like Marcus and Mikhail, like the leaders of TGF, I mean, they are pulling and they are showing with their efforts. And I mean, 90% of the stuff that we don't see. So you know, this it's stuff you can't fake, y'all. Like that's really what it is. You cannot BS your way to being better. You know, you can BS your way through college, you can BS your way through school, but you cannot BS your way through personal development, and that's just the hardest um, wall I could say I'm facing right now. Like this is real. You got to submit. You got to be humble, and you got to commit. You really got to commit. It's only on you, you know. So this, I'm excited to get through the rest of this book. I didn't get to chapter 4. I mean, this is kind of. I was intimidated, y'all. Like I can't lie. I gotta, you know, I gotta stop making excuses, y'all, and get through these books. You know, our leaders put this here for a reason for us. So we have to just take it all in, guys. But it's as much as I got. I appreciate y'all giving me the time and the space to be open and honest with y'all. You know, I love all y'all. Have I heard from Amber? Can I popcorn to Amber if you're good?
What up? What up? You already know the deal. Can y'all hear me? Ooh. One sec. I love everybody's point of view and everybody's sharing. Hey, oh, and real quick, your name is Maricela, right?
Yeah, my name is Maricela, but everybody calls me Mari. Yeah. Mari.
Mari?
Or Mari, yeah.
Mari? Okay, cool. Because I was calling you Marcella, and I was like, I don't think that's your name. Okay, cool. Mari, great. Nice to meet you, Mari. I'm happy you're here. One of the biggest takeaways that I took away from this book and something that was like really relevant to my life recently is relationship management. It talks about how relationship management is the ability to use your awareness of your own emotions and those of others to manage interactions successfully. And just to keep it transparent with you, that is not easy at all whatsoever. And I know it said like people who manage relationships well are able to see the benefit of connecting with many different people, even those that they are not fond of. There was a very long period of my life, like up until this past year, that I did not care for people who I felt like could not benefit me. And I felt like I used to make that very, very apparent. And I feel like for a long time, I had like good intentions like for myself, you know, because you know, you don't want to be around people that you can't grow from, that you can't learn from. But then there comes a point where you can't be rude to those people either. You can't just be like, I'm not listening to you because you don't believe in yourself. Like, you know, and I used to like it talked about one of the examples that it gave is like a lack of a lack of relationship management looks like if Dave doesn't see eye to eye with someone, he makes it apparent that it is not worth developing the relationship. And I felt like I used to do that for real, like especially in the beginning, especially in network marketing, like when I was like 22 when I had started with no relationship management skills or even emotional development or personal development. And you know, dealing with a bunch of people, like it's really easy to get stressed out and just like spaz out on people. And the way that I've learned to get better at that is honestly by being bad at it, by doing it and, you know, getting the criticism, getting the feedback, realizing that I couldn't just like, even though like your intention, like it really matters. Like people do not care what you know until they know how much you care. It does not matter what you know if you can't communicate that effectively. You can have all the answers in the world. You can help people do exactly what they need to do, but if you cannot connect with them, if you cannot talk to them properly, it does not matter. And sometimes we have, you know, our pride and our ego gets in the way. You know, sometimes I hear people online being like, look, this is what the information is and I don't care like how I come off, like this is what it is. And it's like, no, ma'am, that's not true. I actually had a conversation with my littlest sister about that recently because she had a baby about 2 years ago, and then my other sister had a baby recently. And so since my one sister feels like, you know, she knows more, she's more experienced, she wants to help my other sister with that stuff. And my sister's rude. Like she's rude. Like she like the way that she comes off is very much like, you're not doing it right. Like you need to do this. Like, why would you do that? And then, and my other sister's not like she's like, no, you know. And so I had to talk to my sister, sister A, sister B, right? Sister A was the one who's being rude. And I had to talk to my sister A and be like, there's nothing that you can tell sister B that's going to get across from her because of your delivery. Like, it doesn't matter if you can help her. I know you have good intentions. I know you can help her, but you're rude. And to be honest, I wasn't using the word rude. I was like, you act like a B. I was like, that's how you act. I was like, that's like, to be transparent, you know. And I was telling her, you know, I related to her. I let her know, like, I understand what she feels like, and her intention is pure, but we have to develop like personal relationship skills. We have to um develop skills on how to, like, our emotional awareness is what we're talking about. And so with this, it said, let me get back to this. Relationship management poses the greatest challenge for most people during times of stress. When you consider that more than 70% of people we've tested have difficulty handling stress, it is easy to see why building quality relationships poses a challenge. Some of the most challenging and stressful situations we can face at work. And so I just wanted to highlight like the stress. So, well, let me connect these two things real quick. Relationship management is the ability to use your awareness of your own emotions and those of others to manage interaction successfully. Every single one of us on this call, we're leaders. And so naturally, we're going to be involved with a lot of people all of the time. And especially if we're entrepreneurs, especially if we want to grow our finances in any way, shape, or form, we will have to be good with handling interactions with a lot of people a lot of the time. And so because of that, because that is something we must do, like, we can't avoid it. Like, we're not going to be those people who, like, I just don't want to talk to people, so I'm just not. And there are people like that. There are people who don't interact with other people. You know, so you have a choice. You have a choice to want to do it or not. And so since we've made the choice to be people who connect with other people, and now that we're aware that whenever we're stressed out, it causes more conflict, there's more room for error. Basically, what I'm trying to say is we have to take care of our own stress. We have to be able to manage that, because the more that we don't manage our own stress and take care of ourselves, the more room there is for error in our relationships with other people, and that ability to have our own awareness of ourselves and somebody else's emotions. Because even recently, like in this past week, like, I felt like I had a good awareness of people's emotional state, and I realized that I didn't. I realized that my perspective was still a little bit too narrowed in, and it did cause conflict. It did cause tension, you know. Like, I wasn't able to manage one of my relationships effectively in the best way. I wasn't able to allow myself to see and hear somebody in the best way, because my emotional awareness at the time was skewed. You know, I felt like I just wasn't at my best. And so because of that, I wasn't able to hold space for anyone else, and take into consideration anybody else's emotions on a higher level than it needed to be at the time. Does that make sense? I hope so. Hey, Prince, welcome to the call. Is there a difference? There is a difference between Samuel J and Sam. Sometimes I think y'all are the same people. You know. That's your phone?
Yeah, sorry. I'm on my phone.
So
Because
it is one person.
yeah, that's me. Sorry.
I'm like, hello. Okay, but that was my takeaway on that. And I'm still finishing chapter 4. Let's see. Roshizi. Shizi on the mic.
I feel like I have been given the opportunity to practice emotional intelligence today. Um, so we'll start with the fact that I'm working and I just had some rude customers for no reason, right? Like, what are you? I'm just like the entitlement with these people to get on my line and talk to me like that. That's crazy. All I'm here to do is try to help you. Um, Oh, and then I got my daughter and she's OC right now. She loves books. She's got her own books, but she likes to go through my books. And my books have real pages. So she rips the pages and takes the book cover off and puts it in her mouth. And I'm just like, yo, you have your own books, shorty. Read your own books. Um, so I've just been trying to keep it cool, calm, and collected this morning because yeah, Mikhail, I'm about to put bookshelves like on the top of the wall. That's what I'm about to do. Because girl, you finna stop touching my books. Anyway, yeah, I'm just so this book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, is really good. It's a good book. I was listening to the audio, the AI audio on YouTube, and so it was not making full sense, but I was like still understanding what I was hearing for the most part. And I wanted to talk about what Mary kind of brought up too about um the like connections in the brain. I really like the part where it was talking about um how it's like your brain is a muscle that you build, but instead of like your biceps, when you curl and lift weights and it grows bigger and bigger and bigger over time, your brain is what's the word is is like our brains can't get physically bigger because our skulls are in the way. And so it creates new neural passageways. So plasticity is the term neurologists use to describe the brain's ability to change. Your brain grows new connections much as your biceps might swell if you started curling heavy weights several times a week, right? I think Cam was talking about this too. The change is gradual and the weight becomes easier and easier to lift the longer you stick to your routine. Your brain can't swell like your biceps because it's confined by the skull. So instead, the brain cells develop new connections to speed the efficiency of thought without increasing its size. I thought that was so interesting and just made me think about how like why it's so important to continue to like feed the mind and like continue to learn and grow because like those neural passageways can like they can either stay where they're at or they can die or they can start to continue to build more, right? I was thinking about how like some older generation people will do Sudoku and puzzles and crosswords to like keep their mind going, things like that. That's what came to my mind when I was reading about this. Um, and it talks about it did get really sciencey. I kind of was like, I don't know if I understand this, but a single cell can grow 15,000 connections with its neighbors. This chain reaction of growth ensures the pathway of thought responsible for the behavior grow strong, making it easier to kick this new resource into action into the future, right? That really stuck out to me because it's like muscle memory, and it's the more that I absorb and learn and apply, then like the more that I will be able to do that more, if that makes sense. So I'm fascinated by our brains and how they work. Really, I don't fully get it. It doesn't make sense to me, but it makes sense as to why like humans aren't like other animals because of our brains, right? And so that was probably my biggest takeaway from these two chapters. But um, when it comes to the four different aspects of EQ, like I wanted to touch a little bit, just a little bit on all of them. Because for me, self-awareness is something I'm very self-aware. Unfortunately, sometimes too self-aware it feels like because I I'm always like in tune with where I'm at and what I'm doing and how I am showing up in spaces and what's going on around me. The social awareness part too, like um, but I struggle with the self-management piece sometimes for sure. Like emotional regulation is something I struggle with. Like I shared in the PC call, I went and keyed somebody's car because I was emotionally upset and it caused me to be facing a felony property level damage charge. Like that was an example of lack of self-management. You know what I'm saying? Um, and like relationship management too, I feel like I struggle with just because like how like what you were just talking about, Amber, like or and Sam, I don't know who was talking about, but like conflict and like how do we deal with other people and like meet them where they're at. Like it's so tough when I know I can't control other people. I can only control myself, but I'm trying to move this relationship in the direction of something that's conducive and productive for the both of us. And um like I have a personal example where I'm going through a fight. I don't know if it's a fight, but I'm in conflict right now with one of my closest friends, and we were just texting last night, and I was trying to express to them that they did something that made me feel some type of way. They hurt my feelings, and then they immediately put up defense mode and start to, say this, that, and the third, honestly just making shit up. And I was like, I told them, I was like, whatever you make up in your head has nothing to do with my reality. Like, I can express my feelings to you, and my feelings can be hurt, and it doesn't have to be a personal attack. I'm just being honest with you, right? But, like, what? So I struggle with relationship management too, is what I'm trying to say, because I really just like I don't know how to meet people where they're at when their emotional intelligence is lacking. Because like I'm not a god and I'm not like the most emotionally intelligent person in the world. But when I say like I honestly try to come with humility and honesty and willingness into relationships, like I do. And people are not always like trying to meet me where I'm at. And so that's really tough. It's really tough in the workplace when I have to work with people that I don't get to choose to be around. It's tough out in the world when I'm driving my car and I have to beep beep motherfucker like around people that I did not choose to drive around. I don't know who gave them their license, but you know what I'm saying? Like I have to bring the focus back in on me at the end of the day. But I think that's what I wanted to talk about. I really love this book, and I wanted to also just echo what Marcus said at the beginning of the call, the expectation versus standard. I don't even know why he brought that up, but like I just really like that conversation because unrealistic expectations can be harmful, but having standards for myself is necessary. And so I think I'm gonna close with that. And then I think Prince Curtis, if you want to go, you can go, or I'm gonna call him. Yeah, 'cause I didn't give you enough.
Sorry, say that again.
Would you like to share on the chapter 3 and 4?
Uh, no.
Mikhail, I think you're up next.
The brutal honesty of Curtis literally just made my day, bro. I appreciate you for that. Truly. He was like, no, sir. But listen, game time. Y'all gonna have to give me about 60 seconds though, because I'm about to clock. We are pulling up to my nephew's
Alyssa also just
birthday
hopped on.
party.
She wants to share.
Oh, boom. What's up, Alyssa? What's popping? If you want to take it before I take it, I know you literally just hopped on. But Squad has done an amazing job at really wrapping up and one, the differences in their personal perceptions and examples and situations to give like context for social awareness, for personal awareness, self awareness, as well as relationship management. So shout out Squad. But go ahead, take it, girl. What's up? I like your glasses.
I
Yellow
love
vibes.
that. I was like, I'm so sorry. It's a little bit loud here, so I'll let you take it, but I'll definitely rewatch this one for sure. I know I caught the tail end of it. So
Hey, can I just wanted to shout out all of the examples of the people throughout the 4 different emotional intelligence. When they started giving examples of like different people in the workplace and how each person had their own, like if you're higher in your emotional intelligence, how your team would feel about you. And like Amber said, we're all leaders. So us leading, there are people that are following and we are teaching. And that is a huge difference between being able to be emotionally intelligent and regulate and have all the skills necessary versus the people who had a low EQ, yeah, emotional score. And those people were just like, they're like, she needs to be able to actually praise us instead of being frustrated. Like it was a whole bunch of different examples. And I've personally been through all of those examples in the workplace, especially. I feel like the workplace is definitely in school, like in bigger social settings, those examples like kind of have me cracking up because I'm like, yeah, really important to manage our teams effectively. Okay, Mikkel, I hope you're ready.
I just want to say God is amazing, and so are you. I appreciate that. Hold on, my mother-in-law is calling me. I'm helping you get him out. I'm getting out. Hold on, I'm getting out. All right, but no, it's crazy because and your mother keeps calling me, so we're gonna have to hurry up and get in there. Um, Here, come on, Brooklyn. I mean, like my bad, y'all. And I'm on standard. I know it too, so y'all can hear everything that's going on. We're literally getting the kids out for Chuck E. Cheese. Baby, you good? See you in a second. Give me a high five. Yes. No high five. All right, bet. Love you too, girl. But what's up, squad? All right. Deep breath. Calm down. Bet. What's up, y'all? So today has been an amazing discussion as I've been listening to everybody. Truly, it's crazy. I second that, Imani. Thank you for taking that moment. I absolutely loved all of the examples as well. And what you just touched on was, dang, that was a banger. I'm turning the car back on for the background music. What you just touched on, honestly, was what I wrote it down in the very beginning of the call, and it's kind of crazy because it worked out this way again, and it's dope to see. But I wrote down this thing in my notes, and it was just a thought that hit my brain as we like opened up book club. And it's every Saturday, squad either popcorns Marcus or I last. Why? We've never said it as a rule. We've never like been like, hey, we're going last to close this thing. Like never, like, like it just naturally happens. It's just kind of a thing that's literally happened since the very beginning. We'll open it up, not even talk about our perception really like that, pass it to a person, and then all y'all will literally go, and then one of us will get called last if it's not both of us getting called last. And from our perspective, one, the reason we love it and we've never like tried to be like, I'll go, you know what I'm saying? Like in the middle is because we absolutely love to listen to all y'all perspectives before speaking on our own because it gives us more context as leaders, but also as leaders, it's our job and our moral responsibility to help you guys connect the dots between all of our perspectives, or else what are we really here for? You know what I'm saying? And shout out Imani again a few weeks ago. She literally talked about how like it's important to actually pay attention and not just get on here and say your piece and then just hop off because this is a mastermind call. This is a call where we are literally joining everybody's perspectives together so that we can all learn how to do more things. And as we talk about what we don't know how to do, literally there's people in this group that do know how to do some of those things maybe better than you, and you know how to do some things maybe better than somebody else. So your perception adds value, but so does theirs to you. And so with that, it's a space for us to be able to connect all the dots, but we do it like intentionally. And also it provides a space for us not to like give this overwhelm, like people like mama today, like Marcus, I got to go after you. But shout out Marcus because he intentionally left things out so that other people could talk about it and that they didn't bounce off of the leader's perspective as well. So having that social awareness, as it talked about, is imperative to your success. But I truly believe that these 4 skills literally combined make a superpower. Truly. Because you can actually like go and create the life that you want to create with the people that you want to create it with and having the emotional intelligence to navigate these situations. So your life in a sense stays calm. This is principles that the power of awareness also teaches. These are principles that the power of awareness got from the Bible. The Bible also teaches. So there's like so much intentionality between everything that we do. And I just love it because we've created this culture of training yourself to be emotionally intelligent, personally developing yourself consistently. And the reason that we don't only do it sometimes is to keep it consistent because as he talked about in chapter 3, it's like majority of people do it for a season when things are uncomfortable, but then when things get comfortable, they slide back into whatever they were doing and they ease into that comfortability. So as we all go forward, like an important question to ask is when you are leading people, do the people that you lead in life know that you will wait and listen? It's just one question to be pondered as we think and talk about leadership as well. So I love that you brought that up and it just wrapped that all up in a circle. But in that, talking about this book, y'all, and going back into a few examples I had for this week, it's honestly been crazy. Like I had a conversation yesterday where I have politely learned how to stand my ground and not be rude, but like really stand on business with people. And one thing that I've personally been working on is like over the years, I've been just a little bit too nice and understanding. And like, in order for my personal peace to continue, I have to stand on business and I just have to put my foot down on where people have crossed different lines. But you have to do it in an intelligent way where you don't cause more friction. You know what I'm saying? You just politely shut it down. And that's been a skill that I've been working on. And so reading this, it like talked about different examples of people that were really great at it and really bad at it. And it was like, it gave you kind of a space to see yourself in the middle. And I love that because as I was looking at some of these things, like, bro, there were some voice messages I sent this week, and there were some voice messages I did not send this week. You know what I'm saying? Like, even me and wifey had a moment this week when we were talking, and we had got into a disagreement. Let's just call it that. And as we are going back and forth, I literally had to go. I'm like, babe, I can't miss this meeting. So I love you, but we're gonna go back and forth about this via voice message or via the phone. So we chose voice messages. It's just easier to listen to each other that way. So in that, man, I tell y'all, God be watching over me because as I'm driving, and I never do this, I always turn the little voice that tells you the directions off. Like I do not like that little voice that actually irritates the hell out of me while I'm driving. I be like to vibe out. Yeah, I feel you, Murray. So with that, I'm driving, and as I'm recording this voice message, Joe, and I got the directions on in the background. Every time I sent, or I was about to send an emotionally charged message, the directions popped on and it cut off the message. And I'm like, man, I had to re-record it. Like, I'm telling you, every single time until I was just like, okay, Mikhail, maybe God's trying to tell you something here and you shouldn't be sending that message and you should just calm it down and not emotionally respond and actually choose the opposite direction. What's the opposite direction? And it caused me to like sit down and actually think about it. And that happened not just with me and Wifey's conversation, which ended up being amazing, by the way, but it also happened with me in another conversation yesterday as I was cutting off this relationship. First voice message I sent would have hurt a lot of feelings. Second voice message I sent would have hurt a little bit less feelings. The third one definitely would have hurt and smashed all the feelings. And the fourth one was like, we're just going to shut this down. It's all good, bro. I love you. Period. You know what I'm saying? No. You know what I mean? And with that, it's like once you realize that you don't have to emotionally respond and you actually develop that self-control and that discipline, man, that's a whole new level for me that I've reached because in the past, I've emotionally responded. If you've known me for some time, you've probably caught an emotional response. You know what I'm saying? I definitely used to be a little look at Cam and Rochelle face right now. They live in Minnesota. Okay? You know what I'm saying? The rest of y'all don't. But or excuse me, except for Curtis on the call. I know you live here too. But the rest of y'all, literally, some of y'all might have a little bit of a clue because we've all gotten into situations in the past. But like, yo, we're not perfect at all whatsoever. And I damn sure do not try and be. But my people also have recognized the growth in me, just like I've recognized the growth in them. And I'm grateful for it that we've been able to establish these type of relationships and work through those emotionally charged times. But it's because of the consistent personal development and the consistent standard that we've set for like, we gotta grow. We can't stay the same, you know? And truly, I'm grateful because I ain't going. I thought about like at one point in time, like maybe we should do this book club in seasons and like get people excited for it. And then I was like, nah, every single Saturday for the rest of my life, I'm gonna be doing this. I hope y'all hop on. We're gonna vibe out. Whoever want to talk to us, we gonna kick it. We gonna read, and we're gonna consistently develop as much as we possibly can while we have the time to, while we have the space to, while we have the brain cells to. Like, yo, we're getting old and we're getting near to death every single day. Harsh reality, but it's inevitable. So in this process, all you can do is grow and get better. It's not going to get easier. It only gets harder from this point out. So the sooner you understand that, the sooner you accept that, the better life gets, because then you start figuring out how to get ahead of it rather than being smacked by it. And that's how majority of people live for 40 years. They get smacked around by life instead of being like, yo, I'm actually about to take this thing by the horns and I'm about to ride this thing. And eventually it's going to be a beautiful ride when they understand, like, yo, I'm in control and not you. Period. So with that, I'm grateful because this book literally helps us and gives us specific examples. It gives us specific plays on which that we can actually go and like get better. Like as I looked at chapter 4, I damn near got a little bit scared. Always on the phone, bro. I'm about to be in there in a second. But my brother Nick slid over, helped me with my breaks today. It's his birthday, or excuse me, his baby birthday. So I'm like, I got to get in here. But in that, y'all, in closing, I am just truly grateful ultimately because as I'm about to go into chapter 4 and actually do that work, because I haven't done it yet. So I read a little bit of it and I was like, hold on, because I was reading it this morning. Hold on. Birthday party starts at 10, not 11:30. Love y'all, but I'm going to knock that thing out right after this call. You know what I'm saying? To just be transparent. So it's all good. But in that, chapter 3 was dynamic and I absolutely loved it. And I absolutely loved each and everybody's perspective as well. And Alyssa, if you wanted to dive in on that before we close out, go ahead, take it away. Hey, you ain't got to say no. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. What's up, big doggy? So,
It is a no, my brother, for me. No, I'm just
Hey,
kidding.
well,
I'm not gonna lie. I did not read chapter 3, so I'm like, I can't even really go over it. But you guys were talking about. I mean, I know that I heard a little sprinkle of like social awareness and like like your emotional awareness. I don't know how or where that went, but I was just having a whole conversation about social awareness the other day, mostly because I was working with a lot of kids that were younger than us, and I was like, wow, they had like it was just different. The gaps between like no social awareness at all, like no awareness of like social cues, like nothing. It was just very different to communicate with with someone like that. But it also kind of, in retrospect, you think about like yourself when you were that age, and it's like, wow, like just different things. But for me, I know something else is something I heard that you guys talked about was emotional regulation, and that's something I'm really, really focused on doing. I feel like for a long period of time, I was very reactive with things or things I said. I'm very sharp with my tongue. And I know that. And I know that I can cut with my words. And I feel like being emotionally intelligent means that you know that about yourself and you have that power, but like honing it, you know what I mean? Like just harnessing that and realizing that, I know Amber drills it into us all the time in our calls, the power of your words, like the power of your word, what you say, how you say it, everything. I'm a communication major, so it's, it goes down to your nonverbals as well. And that's something that I really did have to check physically, mentally, spiritually, as far as emotionally regulating myself, because it is, it's very difficult to do, especially when life definitely tests you, especially when you're asking for more. It's almost like life tests you, like, all right, are you ready to handle more? Are you ready for more? And it sends you to God. I feel like he sends me challenges that test where I am in that state of trying to figure out, emotional regulation. So yeah, that one, I'm looking forward to reading and diving deeper into, and I will for sure be ready for next weekend for book club. So I think are we reading chapter 4?
I'm assuming we're reading chapters 5 and 6. Those
Okay,
are
so
also
we
the
went over
last...
3 and 4.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, I will be ready next week. I apologize for my
Don't apologize.
preparedness.
You didn't do anything wrong.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you. I love you.
I love you too. But yeah, I'm assuming we're reading chapters 5 and 6, which is the end of the book. I want to say one last thing before we close out. I opened my phone to Instagram right now, like whatever, and I was just like looking down like randomly at the video that was playing, and it's like a random video on Instagram. But here's what it says. And it's like a video of a girl just like standing there, like just rolling her eyes, and she goes, when someone asks what's wrong, but you don't actually know because you randomly get irritated, which is funny because we're talking about emotional awareness. And what I want to point out to that, especially because of who we are, not everybody is reading this book. Not everybody is getting checked. Not everybody is trying to elevate their emotional awareness at all. And there is a big collective out here that think that being emotionally immature is cool, and they don't consciously think that. That's just those people who are like, that's just how I am, like no one better talk to me like that, or nobody better come at me like that. If you hear yourself saying those kind of words, stop yourself, let it go, cancel it out. We're changing our mindset, we're changing who we are. We are changing the way that we interact to things, and it's not cool not to be able to handle your emotions, or not to be able to interact with certain different kind of interactions, because we don't have the emotional maturity level yet. And sometimes people really hold on to that, like and sometimes people hold on to that for other people too, like sometimes one time, like when someone's like, oh, I just want to make sure like no one goes at her like that, because like she's just not the one. To me, you're not telling me nothing impressive. You're telling me like, oh, that person is emotionally immature, like they can't handle a lot. So I don't feel like, oh, let me be careful around them. I'm like, oh, then I don't, not really mess with them. But okay, that's all I gotta say.
I want to add something too really quick, because the chapter 4 continues to talk about it, how like it takes repetition and practice to like develop these habits, and it kind of bounces off what Amber was just saying, like this won't happen overnight. So like I wouldn't place the expectation on myself personally to like be able to wake up tomorrow and be the most intelligent, emotionally intelligent person. Like it's gonna take time. But yeah, I through understanding and application, it can work. It can work. And I just wanted to also bring up about social awareness, like reading the room. Y'all ever been in a space where somebody just cannot read the room? And like that's kind of what Alyssa was talking about, like no social awareness. So I don't know. That's just something I wanted to bring up too. All of this is important. And thank you everybody for sharing your perspective.
Well, thanks everyone. Love y'all. I'm pretty sure Mikkel's frozen.
I'm not frozen. My fault, y'all. My fault, y'all. But gang out the jungle, and I appreciate everybody's perspective. And you guys are amazing. Literally, I just want to say that. If ain't nobody told you today, you're amazing. You're awesome. You're intelligent. You're emotionally aware. You're socially aware. You're self-aware. And with that, let's go create some relationships. Let's go have a great day. Let's go enjoy this sunlight and disperse and multiply. And I'll see y'all at the top, because the bottom is way too crowded. So I'll talk to y'all soon.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Make today as amazing as you all.
Chapters 5 next week, people, just to let you know.
Wait, what was that? What'd you say?
5 and 6.
Who?
Chapter 5 and 6.
Oh, yes. Chapter 5 and 6. The next two chapters. My bad, girl. I couldn't hear you, girl. My fault, girl. I'll talk to y'all soon.